triggered how the left thrives on hate and wants to silence us. It's true. It's absolutely true. And the author is a guy you might recognize. He's an executive vice president in the Trump Organization, always working to expand the Trump Organization's real estate, commercial, hotel, golf interests. Somebody described him the other day as one of the most prolific fundraisers for the Trump train that there is. Of course, I'm talking about the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., who joins us on our guest line here on the Mike Gallagher Show. Don, it's been a while. Great to have you back on the program, sir.
Good to be with you, man. How you doing?
I'm good. We're just fighting the good fight. We're trying to make sense out of this impeachment insanity, and there's really not a whole lot of sense to be made, Don.
No, there hasn't been a lot of sense in D.C. for years, and I think that's sort of why you got Donald Trump, someone who can bring common sense back in there. You know, I watch these liberal reporters at, Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness, yet they have no problem with an impeachment inquiry going on in the basement of Congress. The Republicans aren't allowed to ask a question. Adam Schiff can choose who the people are. Then he can basically vet them in these sham proceedings and then say, okay, well, that's the only guy we're going to let speak on the stage. Even when the guys you saw the thing last night, the head of the whistleblower apparently was like, I don't know, I read the transcripts, I had no problem with him. That guy's not going to get called. Right. It's a farce, and it's disgusting, right. And it's part of why I wrote the book. Obviously, I finished the book before all of these happened, but I had a front row seat to the greatest political upset in history, Mike. I got to watch it firsthand. I got to be part of the tip of the spear. I continue to do so because I believe in what's happening. I believe in the policies. The results speak for themselves. And I see this craziness going on, and frankly, we got to push back. We got to fight.
Well, we are, because the Democrats have really declared political civil war on the country. I mean, there's no question about it. Your dad uses the phrase "the do-nothing Democrats," but it's incredibly accurate. They're doing nothing except pivoting from the 2 years of hoping they could get him on Russia to now in 5 weeks deciding that Ukraine is worth removing him. But you've got to be encouraged by some of the anecdotal and even the data that's coming out. How about the battleground poll that just came out, the New York Times Siena poll, 6 battleground states, all the key states that your dad should win. Nobody there, no majority there in any of those states believe that he should be removed from office this way. Americans don't have the stomach for what the Democrats are putting us through right now, Don.
Well, listen, they recognize it, right? If the media and the Democrats weren't so desperate to create these things for the last 3 years, because I say, make no mistake, this impeachment inquiry started on November 9th, 2016,
yep.
Right? It was just whatever we can do, and I know about this, and I wrote about it, frankly, heavily in the book, because I'd say it's safe to say, the number 2 target of their hatred, of Adam Schiff, of the Pelosi, the Hamas caucus, when they were trying to throw me in jail for taking an unsolicited phone call for 2.5 years. So, I know all about it. I got to witness it. I got to see this hoax. And, I was one of the few people, perhaps like my father, to actually fight back, to not just say, oh, well, they don't like me. Maybe I should shut up and go sit in a corner. We pushed back, and that's what my father's doing, and that's what he's done for conservatives. He's shown them that, guys, you don't just have to lose because the Democrats want you to lose. Like, you don't have to do that. I mean, I understand that that's been sort of the Republican thesis for the last 50 years, but look at what it's got us. Nothing. It's got us nothing. It's allowed us to cede ground to these leftist crazy people for 50 years, and enough is enough. And I think those real Americans that the media hates so much, the media, when we launched in 2020, the media comes out, did you see those people? They stood outside in the rain for Donald Trump to launch his 2020 campaign in Orlando for 2 days in the rain. They were in flip-flops. Was that their formal attire? Ha, 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 ha. I mean, the level of hatred that the media has for hard-working Americans, for the men and women who just want to live that American dream, is really sick. Every day when they open their mouths, it makes me really wonder, is it hard to believe anymore when Donald Trump said, hey, are these people the enemy of the people? It's sort of hard to argue that they're not at this point. I mean,
how could you suggest they're not? How could anyone say they're not the enemy when they're lying and they're deceiving and they're distorting? And frankly, they threw down the gauntlet. You remember in August of 2016 when the New York Times, they wrote, we can't be objective anymore. We got to stop this guy.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid they have They don't even pretend anymore. They are just the marketing wing of the Democrat Party. That's okay because we get it. But you see it. You see it every day. I wrote the book. I got plenty of examples in it. But like every day, I'm like, wow, I could do an addendum and just add more to it because just this weekend, right? Al-Baghdadi, the number one terrorist in the world, the guy that my dad said, this is my target I want to get the day he took office. The first thing he wanted to do was get this guy. The leader of ISIS is, according to the Washington Post, an austere religious scholar. Not a piece of crap, not a rapist, not a murderer. He's an austere religious scholar.
Austere religious scholar.
And like Nick Sandman is a homegrown terrorist. I mean, that's
he's the
bad
lens
guy by which these people are looking at things.
But remember, they backtracked. They said it didn't read the way it should have read. Read? They wrote it that way, Don.
They wrote it that way.
I know.
They can't. In the article, you get to the fact that he's a terrorist at about paragraph 30. They talk about how he just loved to watch soccer. He's a big soccer fan.
Wire-rimmed glasses.
This guy put people in cages, poured gasoline on them, and lit them on fire. Yep. And they're doing whatever they can to humanize him because Trump wasn't a fan. This isn't Trump derangement syndrome anymore. This is truly insanity. And these are the people who are dictating the talking points that the average American is getting throughout the country. So I really hope and I believe that they see it because I'm with those people all over the place. I spend a lot of time on the road now. Sure. I do get to Middle America often because it's where I hang out. It's where I hunt, I fish, I do competitive shooting, all this stuff. Like I know those people. I spend time with them, and I think they've had enough too. But when you have unprecedented success but still get 95% negative media coverage, that has to tell you all you need to know. Just look at the job numbers today. Yet another record. Yet another all-time high.
Whoop. Oh, what did we lose there? Eric? All righty, we lost the call. That's all right. We'll try to get him back here, guys, and because we weren't done yet. Let's try to figure out where he is. But he is so right on so many levels about what the media has become, and I would argue it's beyond insanity. It's more than insanity. It's kind of an evil. There really is an evil undercurrent to a lot of this stuff that is beyond shocking. And I was going to mention to Don Jr., want to make sure that you know that he talked about being on the road. Tonight he's going to be at Bobby Van's in New York City, the original, 230 Park Avenue. My colleague and friend Kevin McCullough is going to be broadcasting from there, and they're going to have a real cool, it's called the Dining Out Dialogues with Kevin McCullough Radio. And again, at Bobby Van's, we'll try to get him back there. Thought I was worried there you got offended and I said something wrong. You hung up on me.
Well, I thought you hung up on me because I was waiting. I went on a 5-minute rant, and
no, we heard most of it.
I was like, I figured maybe you're voting for Bernie all of a sudden.
Yeah. I'm no Pocahontas. I've become a Pocahontas supporter all of a sudden. Donald Trump Jr. is with us. He's got the new book Triggered, which is wonderful, incidentally. And I was just mentioning to the audience that you're going to be at the Dining Out Dialogues. Bobby Van's, the original. You'll be there. Kimberly Guilfoyle. It's going to be a really neat event. Kevin McCullough, AJ Katzimatidis. They're going to be broadcasting. It's at Bobby Van's, the original 230 Park Avenue this afternoon. Don, we were talking about the media, but it's not just the media. It's elected officials. Yesterday, the big news was your dad. All the phones were blinking last night with alerts. Your dad has decided to change his official residency from New York to Florida. Now, when Americans think of the quintessential New York family, they think of the Trumps. There's no question this is a big story. And, of course, your dad explained it. He loves New York, but he's been treated very badly by officials, by government officials in New York, not to mention the goofy taxes and all. As if on cue, here's a tweet from the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo. Here's what the official Twitter account, the governor said to your dad's announcement that he's going to live in Florida after 5 years of 5 more years of the presidency. Here's the Cuomo tweet. I kid you not. He wrote, "Good riddance. It's not like Donald Trump paid taxes here anyway. He's all yours, Florida." Don, are you kidding me? Can you imagine?
Well, listen, obviously, this guy forgets that I've been in my father's office dozens of times when he was coming up there begging for my father's money, thanking him for all the things he's done for New York, thanking him for doing the Wallman Rink, for taking over the Ferry Point Golf Course, all these failed New York City projects that couldn't get done, that he literally said, hey, I'll do it. I'll guarantee it. I'll get it done for the city. My father reshaped the skyline of New York. He made New York a big part of what it is. He's the original guy. And, I responded back to that tweet earlier this morning. I just go, nice soundbite. Now do the tens of thousands of other successful New Yorkers and businesses fleeing your idiotic policies every week.
I'm one of them. One of them. I did the same thing. I bought a condo in Florida.
They offer nothing to people who are actually doing things.
Right.
There is no good policy. It's always just bad policy after bad policy, catering to the crazy, and it never ends. And so, it's not just Donald Trump, but when you think of people who've done stuff for New York, okay, I can't think of a better name than Donald Trump. If you're pushing him away, you're doing it to tens of thousands of people. And by the way, those tens of thousands of people are the ones that are keeping New York afloat by paying those taxes. So this is a vicious cycle. The idiotic policies of the left and Governor Cuomo. And again, I was there dozens of times when Governor Cuomo was coming in, talking about the good old days when his mom was talking to my grandmother and they were best friends and talking all over the place. It's a convenient soundbite to cater to his leftist, idiot friends. But now do Amazon. They chased away Amazon. That was only a couple 100,000 six-figure jobs. Like, big deal, no problem.
Right.
Who won't they push away? And by the way, who's going to foot the bill for all of their crap later on? So, these policies and the math don't work out. But, again, the media will carry the soundbite like it's a wonderful plan. And, the reality is they have no plan. You see it today. Elizabeth Warren, $53 trillion, Medicare for all.
Right.
That's wonderful.
Right.
The U.S. government
and she admitted it will cost. And Don, I got to get this in here. She admitted it will cost 2 million jobs, 52 trillion, and the loss of 2 million jobs.
Well, but think also the U.S. government revenue is here. So if you take 52 over 10 years, you're basically taking 90% of U.S. government revenue for one plan. You're eliminating people's private health insurance to give them the plan that you and I both know is going to be a total disaster, going to be totally inefficient. But, how do you build a road? How do you pay for school? How do you support the military? These are pipe dreams. We live in the age of Santa Claus, and that's what they're promising. These policies are irresponsible. They don't work. You have a guy that actually built business. You have an unprecedented economic success despite the media trying to make it. Okay? You saw the job numbers again today, despite the media trying to say, oh, no, it's almost over. They're literally hope-failed economy so that they organize it politically. This is what we're going through in our country, and you have these moron politicians who've never signed the front of a paycheck, never created a job in their lives, pushing their Santa Claus theories. It's insane.
It is, but we're going to fight the good fight, and thank goodness for your book, Triggered, How the Left Thrives on Hate and Wants to Silence Us, from Donald Trump Jr. Don, always great to visit with you. Be safe and keep fighting the good fight. Thanks for joining us. Our audience appreciates it very much, and so do I.
Thank you, Mike.
All the best. Take care.